just like desire trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion, full of fallen conditioned souls.
Is kinder than me, that's for sure. All right. Hey, Krishna. All right. Big crowd.
So,
Jaya Radhamad Hova Kunyabe Hahute Jairad Umadhova Kunyabe Hahute. I have to take it off right away. I appreciate it, but it's marigolds. I wouldn't be able to give class. Here, you have. I'd put it on, and then you could. Otherwise, I would end up having a sneezing and having trouble breathing. Chayoradhamadhova kunyabeyanti. Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Badadhari Pi Balaba Giri Badadhari Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Badadhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ran Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Nandana Jana Ranja Jamuna Tira Banachari Natira Banach Yamuna Tira Banachari Jayo Radho Madhova Gunya Bihati Jayo Radho Madhova Gunya Bihati Gopinana Balaba Yidi Badatanti va giri badada gopi nanabalaba giri badada Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Janaran Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Nandana Braja Janaranjan Yamuna Tira Manachari Tira Chari Yamuna Tira Manachari Jaya Radha Madhuva Kunya Bihati Jairan Hum Madhuva Kunya Bihari Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahansa Paravidikacharya Osateta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Chadananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Vakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shaima Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuradam Ki Jai Jagannatha Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Gaur. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees. All glories, the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Buddhale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatchate Chatarni. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, 75th chapter, text 18. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sa Samrad Ratam Aruda Sat Ashwang Rukma Malanam Avyarochata Swa Patnipi Kriyabi Kratu Radhiva Sasamrad Ratam Haruda Sadashvam Rukmamalanam Vyarochitaswa Patnibi Kriyabe Kraturadiva Sasamradratam Haruda Sadashang Rukmamalanam Vyarochata Swapatni Be Kriyabe Kraturadiva Sasamradratam Haruda Aruda Sadashram Rukmamalanam Vyarochata Swapatni Be Kriyabe Kraturadiva Ladies, okay, Sa he Samrat, the Emperor Yudhishthira, Ratam, his chariot, Aruda, mounted, Sat, excellent, Ashram, whose horses, Rukma, golden, Malanam, with hangings, of Yorochata, he shone forth, Swapatni be, with his wives, Kriyabe, with its rituals, Krato, of sacrifices, Rat, the king Rajasuya, Iva, as if. Translation, the emperor mounted upon his chariot drawn by excellent horses wearing golden collars, appeared splendid in the company of his wives, just like the brilliant Rajasuya sacrifice surrounded by its various rituals. So you can repeat. The emperor mounted upon his chariot, drawn by excellent horses, wearing golden collars, appeared splendid in the company of his wives, just like the brilliant Rajasuya sacrifice, surrounded by its various rituals. So, purport by the followers of His Divine Grace the Prabhupada, King Yudhisthira with his queens appeared like the personified Rajasuya sacrifice, surrounded by its beautiful rituals and small commentaries we will read. This verse describes events after they had finished their water sports. Otherwise, it can refer to events before the water sports. Just as the king of sacrifices, the Rajasuya, the main element, looks resplendent with its component activities, so Yudhisthira looked resplendent with his queens. And Jiva Goswami comments, again, the king's going out is described. He left with Draupadi and others. So again, the verse says, Samradatham aruda sad asham rukva malana Ferochita swapatni vi kriya vi kratu radiva. So Om Magana Timirandasha Gananjana Shilakya Chakshur Unmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. So, several things I want to talk about in relationship to this verse, even though it has a very, very short purport. One is, of course, very short commentary on this. Why are we hearing about all these things? You know, some sacrifice, King Yudhisthira doing this. He's sitting on a chariot, you know, resplendent. You know, what does this have to do with Krishna consciousness or Krishna Katha? I think that's the first question. Of course, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, and I forget exactly where, we have Parikshit Maharaj asking Sukadeva Goswami to recite all the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And at a particular point, he says, tell me the story if it has any relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this story definitely has a relationship, because what we're hearing about here is are the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, Krishna is there too. But we're hearing more about Yudhisthira Maharaj. And of course, later on we're going to hear about our friend Duryodhana, who's definitely not a devotee. But to hear about the devotees is just as important, or sometimes even more important, than hearing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because we know Krishna becomes very pleased when we glorify or praise his devotees. And, you know, the verse I quoted in the last class was Radhanam Sarvesham Vishnu Radhanam Param Tasmat Paratharam Devi Tvadiyanam Samarchanam, spoken by Lord Shiva. Topmost worship is worship of Vishnu. And even better than that is worship of Vishnu's devotees. So that's why I emphasize very much that we should read the Prabhupada Lilamrita. You know, wherever I go, I take a poll of the devotees. I say, who here has read a Prabhupada's biography? And practically none of the newer devotees have read the whole Lilamrita. And if you really want to please Prabhupada, you'll glorify Prabhupada, you'll get to know Prabhupada, you'll know Prabhupada's mood, you know Prabhupada's intention. And in this way, you can please Krishna. So this is why we're hearing about this, because it's Krishna's pastime. But there's another reason, too, that it hasn't been dealt with before, is that these devotees are setting an example, as Prabhupada did, as to what it means to be a devotee of Krishna. Now, what you may say, what does it mean to be a devotee of Krishna? Well, we just read about these devotees, you know, having a good old time with their wives and doing things that would agitate the, isn't it? Agitate the mind of an ordinary person. Christopher was talking about this yesterday. You know, that men were throwing liquids on the women's bodies. And anyway, obviously things were seen that normally are not seen on people's bodies. And these are pure souls. So I'm not saying that this is an example for us. Not that after class we should just take the hose out there and spray each other down. I don't suggest that. But the example, not only that, you know, we see Yudhisthira Maharaj enjoying all this opulence. I thought, when I joined Krishna consciousness, Vairagya Vidya Nidya Bhakti Yoga Shiksharta Eka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya what is Sharira Dari Kripam Buddhiyas Twam Aham Prapadye. That's what my thought. If those of you who don't understand what that means, that is a verse composed by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And he said, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to teach what? Vairagya. And as a new devotee, I thought, this is great. You know, Vairagya. Sleep on the floor, right? And what else do we do? Eat off of some wax paper on the floor. Which freaked my mother out when she came to the temple and saw us eating on wax paper, pieces of wax paper on the floor, and myself slurping up some water that I spilled on the floor because it was Mahaprasadam water. So, you know, it's just like, it was fun. It was actually a lot of fun, that renunciation. So, Vairagya Vidya, knowledge about devotional service. Shri Krishna. So anyway, Vairagya Vidya, Nija Bhakti Yoga. You understand that. Shiksharta Eka. This is the one teaching. Purusha of the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here we see, in this particular verse, he's dressed opulently. You know, what is this? I always thought gold was meant for the deities, not for us, right? And of course, we had Prabhupada also. He came in a Rolls Royce they picked him up in. And the press criticized. We thought it's supposed to be spiritual, right? So why is Swamiji come rolling in? That was the expression in the press. And Prabhupada said, a gold car would not be good enough for the guru. Now, gold at today's price, a gold car, would be several $1 billion, because gold is like $4,000 an ounce or something like that. So Prabhupada was saying that, and then, you know, you have, of course, Lord Nityananda wearing, what, earrings and all sorts of gold jewelry and attracting the thieves. So what are the reasons for these things? And what are the reasons for, you know, just devotees going out and throwing water and enjoying life like that? I mean, aren't they just supposed to stay in the temple? And the only recreation should be what? Dancing during kirtan, right? Or waking up early in the morning, or eating prasadam. Isn't that? So what's happening here? Well, several things are happening. One is, as far as dressing opulently, it's not that Yudhisthira Maharaj was thinking that, you know, wasn't a Vaishya, he's a Kshatriya. But part of being a Kshatriya is to have that opulence, so people, it's part of Ishwara Bhava. You know, if you dress up like a slob, you know, nobody's going to respect you. Like sometimes devotees tell me, you better dress better. Yeah. You gotta, you know, there's certain things that sannyasis can do sometimes to make themselves look cooler, which is not wearing a kurta and just wrapping themselves with a wrap. Anyway, they look cool and more Vedic. So dress for a Kshatriya is very important. It's important to dress opulently. So, you're a king. I mean, oh my God, should I use this example? Just like, anyway, there's a political leader who said the same thing recently about a new jet that he just got. So, it's important because you want people to listen to you, to respect you, and to carry out your service for Krishna. So you dress according to your service for Krishna. And Yudhisthira Maharaj, later on, when he found out that Krishna had left the planet, he just dropped everything like a hot potato and headed to the north, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam. But while one is doing that service, even psychologically, you need something like that. It's interesting. Kshatriya, Vaishya, they all need something like that in order to encourage them. So material opulence, there's nothing wrong with material opulence. That's the first thing. And, all right, let's talk about their party throwing water at each other. That's another interesting subject matter. All right, material opulence I can understand. So why are they engaged in all these sports, recreation, and everything like that? Well, that's actually necessary. Not that type of recreation for us. That's necessary in order to be stable in devotional service. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very explicit about this, and Prabhupada is in his translation. 6:17. Yuktahara viharasha yukta cetasa karmasu yukta swabhanabodasha yoga bhavati dukkaha. Of course, the translation is, he was regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So eating and sleeping, too. Of course, Krishna also mentions that one should not eat too much or eat too little. What does that mean? Prabhupada said, if you can work like an elephant, then eat like an elephant. You can eat like it. But if you're not, don't. If you're sitting down all day long and doing computer work, don't come out with 5 bowls of dal and rice for prasadam and, 25 roti chapatis. Just like in Fiji, for example, which I do a lot of preaching in. The devotees all come from farming families. So when they had farming families, in the morning before they go out to farm, they would eat like 10 rotis, chapatis, for those you don't know, and khichdi and everything like that. So now, fast forward to the modern age, they're eating the same thing. And they're just expanding, not their service. They're expanding. Do I need to describe it? Okay. And diabetes is an all-time high. So things have to be in accordance with your needs, not in accordance with your desires or your habits. We all have habits. When I was going on Sankirtan, I would eat 2, 3. At one point, Prabhupada said, devotees should only eat once a day and go out the rest of the day. And devotees were starting to faint. I mean, we listened to whatever Prabhupada said. Prabhupada said devotees should never eat. We would have listened to that too. At least I would have. So we listened to it. But really, that wasn't appropriate. And so Prabhupada's making a point. Sometimes you overemphasize things. In other words, Prabhupada said you should go out and preach. And sometimes you overemphasize certain points that are not meant to be taken literally, because devotees were getting sick. So eating, sleeping, devotees sometimes slept too little, and guess what? They had car accidents. Fortunately, I never had a car accident because of that. But I would sleep at every stoplight. I'd take advantage, take a little snap when there was a horn behind me. Boom. Okay. Wake up. But so the point is, you sleep the needful. Prabhupada even said, if you're striving all day long, 7 or 8 hours you should get. So, just moderation. And then recreation or recreation. That means whatever's necessary. Just like Prabhupada one day, this is a story that most devotees don't know, that some of the sannyasis were complaining they were still feeling a lot of lust in their bodies. Like that story I told the other day that one devotee came to Prabhupada and said, I have no more lust, no more sex desire. Prabhupada said, are you sick? The body is the body. So Prabhupada said, go play some sports. So there was this, I was with a sannyasi who remained nameless, immediately went out to the basketball court and challenged all the other people weren't devotees to a game. He was good at basketball. Anyway, so whatever's necessary. And Prabhupada every morning, what would he do? He took a walk, right? And then he had massages. I mean, taking care of the body, recognizing the body and the mind. Sometimes you need a little peace of mind. Or nowadays you put on some noise reduction headsets and the world disappears. Just like when I go in an airplane, I put the headsets on. People ask how I can fly all the time. It's just, I don't hear anything. It's like it's peace. So we need peace. So anyway, recreation and work. So it's all, and the end of this is, can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Wow. And also, another point, and this is much in line with what Mother Irma is teaching, is understanding your psychophysical nature, right? And your work should be in accordance with your psychophysical nature. If you're an artist, you paint things, do such creative things. If you ask me to paint, I failed art class. It was hopeless. I was hopeless. I couldn't even sign. I still can't sign my name properly. So, anyway, and if you're Brahmin, if you're inclined to study, then you study and teach. And anyway, you understand the different varnas. So this work is very, very important. What type of work? And then the work actually becomes recreation for you, too. When you really enjoy, I often say, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, your job, you better change it. Sometimes people work just to have money, to get money, for 50 years of their life, and they're miserable and thinking, when it all finishes, I'm going to enjoy, right? After 50 years, making money, building a big house, satisfying my family's cravings for iPhone, iPad, iPad. Isn't it? Yeah, after that, then, retire, Social Security, fantastic, because you don't figure out that your family took all your money from you, so you won't have any money to retire. You may have to work at Home Depot after you're 65, which happens to a lot of people. So I was just speaking to a devotee yesterday who's just giving away all his money to the temples and everything. I said, don't do that. I said, sure, I want your money. I said to him, he's giving away quite a bit. Don't give away any more. That's an order. Because you got to take care of yourself. He doesn't have a job or any sort of business anymore. So anyway, so people go their whole lives being miserable. 9 to 5, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. And Friday, then they just have to stay home and clean the house because, the rest of the week they're just doing whatever, working. And so the work should be in accordance with one's nature. One should be happy now. You don't put, in Krishna consciousness, you don't put off happiness till later. That's not the movement I joined. It's Kevalananda Kanda Bhaja Bhaja Bhai Chaitanya Nitai. Happiness is right now, isn't it? If you're engaged according to your psychophysical nature for Krishna and you're chanting your rounds, you're eating prasadam, you got happiness right now. It's not something you plan for when you retire. Hopefully, Uncle Sam will have some money left in the Social Security fund to give you, which they're talking about cutting it 33% or something like that. Or they're increasing the retirement age to 200. So I'm exaggerating. So the soul, all right, so talking about recreation right now, many interesting things I found out about this. The soul has a natural need for recreation. Because the soul, why does the soul have a natural need for recreation? Because guess where all the soul's natural needs come from? Anybody can guess? Krishna. And Krishna, Vrindavan is all recreation, isn't it? I mean, it's not that, you may say, oh, Krishna has to go to work herding the cows. He has a job. Well, that's his nature anyway. He's a Vaishya. And so he enjoys it. Everything's enjoyable. He takes the cows out for pasture, plays with his friends. That's the nature of God. So even if we have some recreation like Krishna, not, of course we can't live Govardhan Hill and stuff like that. But, having friends, having friends is really important. There's a quote from Prabhupada. He says, the quality of bliss is dependent upon enjoyment and association. I heard this quote the other day. I wrote it down. He says, one cannot remain alone all the time for much time. Now, if you are locked in a room, Prabhupada said, eventually you will look for some association or recreation. You'll go crazy if you're locked in a room. Because Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, rasovai saha, isn't it? That's where all pleasure comes from. And he's always enjoying himself. So we're parts and parcels of Krishna. And we're meant to always enjoy ourselves too. Prabhupada said our Krishna consciousness is practically a system of recreation. When he was asked what do the devotees do for fun? It's practically a method or a system of recreation. That's the Krishna consciousness movement. And so, the material world, people going for recreation, like Prabhupada called cinemas. You don't use that word so much anymore. They do in, actually in UK and other places like that. Let's go to the cinema. In America, you said, let's go to the movies. So cinemas and nightclubs, discos, all this stuff. We even have our Krishna conscious discos, isn't it? They have a bhajan clubbing now, isn't it? Bhajan clubbing, that's the latest scene. And in the material world, when they try to enjoy, it's all what? Chapala sukha, flickering happiness. And in order to enjoy, they have to stop enjoying for a little while so they can enjoy the enjoyment. It's Bhoga Tyaga. If I want to enjoy eating, the spiritual world, of course, not that you want to do it. You can eat all day and you're going to get sick. Because you have a spiritual body, Satchidananda Vigraha. Not that you would eat all day long, but you're not. I mean, like you hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's eating, all the bags of Raghava, is it? Raghava Jali, and he's eating all these giant bags, and he's not getting sick. And so, spiritual body, you just don't get sick. But in the material world, you eat, but you have to give yourself a lot of time so you get hungry to really enjoy the eating, unless you have some emotional issues. And then you eat just to fulfill your emotional issues. But basically, and then in the material world, there's this boredom. What do you get? I remember speaking to my friends. Hey, Joe, what are we going to do today? I don't know. What are we going to do today? I don't know. You think of anything? I don't know. Did you ever go through that? It's just like, I don't have that problem anymore. The glass should be full, as Prabhupada said, so you can't put any ink in a glass of milk. So, I don't know why you put ink in a glass of milk, but anyway, so we just fill ourselves up with Krishna conscious activities. I wake up in the morning, I think, oh my God, do I have all those things to do today? I'm crazy. Sometimes I just have to, early in the morning, pull out a piece of paper, write down my to-do list. And maybe I get like 1/10 of the things done that particular day. And I'm frustrated because I can't get everything done that I want. So this is the way it should be. We should have plans to serve Krishna. You want to be happy that you can't get everything done by the end of the day. I mean, you got to prioritize. Devotees ask me all the time, I have so many things to do. Prioritize. Prabhupada said what comes first is your health. It's interesting. Then your sadhana. Don't, if you do your sadhana first and you neglect your health, you won't be. 2 minutes early. 2 minutes early. Yeah, hold up, 2 minutes. I got 2 minutes. I got a reprieve for 2 minutes. So, in other words, the leaders have to arrange adequate engagement for everybody, and also hearing and chanting. And Prabhupada said we should take care of the devotees' health. Health should be number one, because without being healthy, you can't be materially happy, and your sadhana, you're not going to be able to proceed properly in Krishna consciousness. In that way, you'll be free of anxiety like Krishna is and be able to have recreation in Krishna consciousness and enjoy in the same way Yudhisthira Maharaj is enjoying. So, that's it. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I had more to say, but it's just saved.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindadalayataksham Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vigamaniya Nishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham
Bhajami Govindam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Putale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Vacha, Nehesha, Shunyavadi, Pasachades, Ataranai. Jai Shri Krishna Jai Danda Prabhu Nanda Shri Dvaita Gadana Siva Sati Gopakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jindwaita Gadada Siva Sade Navata Vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Nana Prabhu Nityananda Jindwaita Gadada Siva Sade Navata Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Goloka Nana Goloka Nana Radhe. Radha Goloka Nana Radha Goloka Nana Radhe. Nara, hey, Nara, hey, Nara, hey. Radhe, Nara, Radhe, Radhe. Shri Radhe Jai Om Vishnu Pad.
Chaitodarpanamarjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrikavataranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Nihamita Smaranena Kala Hetadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinadapi Sunichena Charorapi Suhishuna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadishakamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoita Kitwai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gad Garudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vabhukada Tavanamagrahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishava Padamritam Anastumam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatava Vidadatulam Pato Tatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally.
So the deities address very beautifully, getting ready for the festival tomorrow. So we expect 600 people. Oh my God. 600 people for 3 days. Yeah, so it's going to be intense here, so the devotees just all work together, cooperate, and serve the Vaishnavas who are coming. What's that? And have a good time? Well, an anxiety time. Anyway, so I'm sure everything will go all right with the Ditch and Narayan Prabhu in charge. That he knows what he's doing, so he's going to organize, and the devotees will all participate, cooking for 600 people a day. Whoo! Anyway, yeah. Well, Janmashtami is just for a few hours. This is actually more intense than Janmashtami because it goes on and on and on. And they come in waves in Janmashtami too. So anyway, so it'd be interesting. What's that? Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean all the devotees. Devotees love it. Devotees love it. Young devotees love it. So, yeah, it's good. It's a festival. I remember in New Vrindavan, we had at least we had 1,000 devotees in New Vrindavan for Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja.